Let's talk about the indictment with Peter Mathews, a political analyst and professor of political science at Cypress College. Thanks so much for joining us, Peter.
Good to be here, Natalie.
Well, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has said Mr. Trump, the president, has a blind spot when it comes to Russia. Why does it seem like the president is incapable of saying anything negative about Russia or condemning Russia when he easily attacks our allies, like the UK, for example?
It seems very strange from those of us looking from the outside objectively. And we really wonder, maybe he had an inclination toward working things out with Russia when he came into office. But also we know that he's had investments. He's had private loans given to him for his businesses from Russian entities. And I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, but we have to look at that. He's very loath to criticize Mr. Putin or Russia policies many times. Maybe he has an inclination to want to work things out and reset the button. On the other hand, maybe there's some personal interest there involved. And that's very problematic, very concerning if that's the case.
Is there anything Congress can do to force President Trump's hand vis-a-vis sanctions against Russia?
Well, he's the executive branch leader, so he's got to implement what Congress actually has passed. If he refuses to do so, I mean, the only thing that ultimately they could do to get him to do more of what they need him to do and what we need him to do is to impeach him and then eventually remove him if the Senate agrees to remove him after the House impeaches him. There's very little other kind of recourse that the Congress has because he's the executive branch, the chief administrator, chief bureaucrat, chief executive to carry out the policies. If he doesn't want to do them, whether he wants to do them half-heartedly or turn them in a different direction, presidents can often do that, actually.
Let's talk about the other topic that's dominating the news this week, the mass shooting at the high school in Parkland, Florida. President Trump visited victims and first responders following the massacre, and today he spoke with the Parkland mayor. He also tweeted this: "Very sad that the FBI missed all of the many signals sent out by the Florida school shooter. This is not acceptable. They are spending too much time trying to prove Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. There is no collusion. Get back to the basics and make us all proud."
I knew he would try to connect the two. I knew he would try to connect the two, and it's just despicable in my view that he would do that. Instead, he should stop underfunding the FBI. He should bring in more funds rather than giving tax cuts to the super rich like he did in this plan that was just passed by him and the Congress, and bring the funds in to hire more law enforcement, more FBI agents, more school safety measures, like having checks, real safety checks with metal detectors at the schools, as well as background checks, and stopping those who with the mental illness from owning or from having these guns. In fact, he reversed an Obama-era ruling just a year ago when President Obama made it more difficult for those with mental illness to be able to purchase a gun. Trump rescinded that executive order, just the opposite, while he's talking the other direction. So I think that was just very wrong for him to bring in the FBI and blame them for what happened there in that phase. Although the FBI was informed that this particular shooter had put something on Facebook saying that he would want to become the next professional school shooter. And so the FBI, you would think, would respond. But then again, they may be understaffed and not enough of them to do that, as many cases of law enforcement today.
Right. They did admit a mistake in not following up on that. The president has not mentioned guns in all of this, and many lawmakers haven't either. Vigils were held this weekend, though, with students calling out lawmakers over gun laws in the United States. Let's listen.
If you don't do anything to prevent this from continuing to occur, that number of gunshot victims will go up, and the number that they are worth will go down. And we will be worthless to you. To every politician who is taking donations from the NRA, shame on you. We know that they're claiming that there are mental health issues, and I am not a psychologist, but we need to pay attention to the fact that this isn't just a mental health issue. He wouldn't have harmed that many students with a knife.
I'm a high school senior who 3 days ago was worried about which of my friends were going to receive flowers for Valentine's Day. I was focused on what I was going to be wearing to prom 1 week ago. My main concerns were my grades, college acceptance, and my social life. Now I'm a high school senior who is worried about which memorial I need to place flowers at. Now I'm focused on what clothes I can wear so that I can run away from gunfire. My main concerns are funerals, gun control, and whether or not I'm going to be shot wherever I go. My innocence, our innocence, has been taken from us.
These students are brave, they're outspoken, and they're going directly to lawmakers. Could this be the massacre? That's a tipping point.
It certainly could, because especially if you have students who are so aware now, it's just heartbreaking to hear them, and also encouraging to hear them come out with the real solutions, and it is gun control. We know statistically that where the states that have a higher rate of gun ownership, there are far more gun-related deaths. States with a lower rate of gun ownership, there's lower gun-related deaths, as are true of nations across the world. So we have to have much stricter gun regulation. The students are championing this now, and when students speak up, Natalie, things can really happen. And I'm very encouraged by these young women, especially many of them young student women and also men, who are speaking out and saying, we need our politicians to respond to us. We will never make the next generation if you let this happen and continuously happen. Don't forget, it's also making them very nervous, very stressed out. How can they focus on their studies? This has so many ramifications. These school shootings keep going as they've been outrageously going. 17 of them this year alone, so far.
Right, and churches and concerts, it's an epidemic in this country. We'll wait and see if these students can make a difference to try to make this country safer. Professor Peter Mathews, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.